Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, but if you are new here, my name is Helen and today I'm going to take you through a post-ride, post-run stretch. So this is going to be very close to the floor and I encourage you to have some blocks with you. So you could either use books or I even overheard a fellow teacher say DVD box sets. Who has those anymore? But if you have them, they are actually perfect as a yoga prop. And we're going to start seated today. So come on down, take a seat with me. So maybe cross-legged, maybe kneeling, totally up to you. And before we get moving, we're just going to take a moment of stillness. So hands onto the knees or the thighs, sitting nice and tall through the spine, and then close your eyes. Take a nice big breath in through the nose. And sigh it out through the mouth. So if you have just come back from a ride or a run, just welcome yourself into this practice. Slowing down your breathing and your heart rate. Communicating to the body that it's time to now rest and recover. So breathing in and out of the nose, slow, deep, mindful breaths. Keeping that lovely calm breath throughout this practice. Lovely. When you're ready, blinking the eyes open and come meet me in an all fours position. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath our hips. And then as you inhale, lift the chest, look up. And as you exhale, round it out. Just find a little movement through the spine. So inhale, dropping belly, sway the heart forwards and open. Exhale to round. Lovely. Couple more in your own time. Good. And then coming to a neutral place with the spine, tucking the toes. We're going to walk our hands back and come to a yogi squat. So we're going to turn the toes outwards, coming into a deep squat here. So if you're tight through the calves or through the ankles, your heels might be lifted and that's totally fine. Otherwise, see if you can press down through the heels. And let's just take a little movement from side to side into those hips. Lovely. You might just feel your calves get a little bit of a stretch here, even your feet as well. Nice one for loosening up through that lower back. Very nice. And then from here, we're going to send our head down and our bum up, turn the toes forwards. Let's interlace the fingers behind our back. Let the head go, so really just allow your head to hang loose. And then let that fist fall overhead. Maybe squeezing the palms together right up to the wrists if that feels accessible. Nice one for the chest and the shoulders. So particularly if you've maybe been hunched over your bike, you might find this really nice for your shoulders to open up through the chest. Good. Take a nice big breath in. As you exhale, release the hands down. Turning the toes out, let's come back into that yogi squat. So dropping the sit bones down between the heels, finding a deep squat once more. Perfect. Let's walk the hands forwards, come back to all fours. Good. From here, extend your right leg back onto the mat, pushing through that heel so you're feeling a stretch through your calf. If you've got sensitive wrists, come down onto your forearms and push back that way. You just feel like you can give it a little bit of an extra push if that feels available to you. Nice, so really pressing back through that heel. Lovely, very, very nice. From here, zip up through your belly, pick that right foot up, and then you're going to step that right foot in between your hands. Good. Hands up onto that thigh, and then slightly tuck your tailbone under. Feel that stretch for your left hip flexor. And then maybe for some of us, we sink the hips a little more forwards. Nice. Just pay attention to that lower back. If it doesn't feel right, come up higher and find that tuck of the tailbone. You'll still get that stretch through that hip flexor. Good. Shoulders are relaxed. Rest of your body is nice and relaxed. Very good. Take a nice big breath in. As you exhale, hands are going to frame that front foot and then straighten up the front leg into a half split. So maybe we want our blocks here, either side. We want to make sure that this front leg, is nice and straight. Toes are lifted and the spine is nice and straight. So just notice if your ego is making you do this, you don't really feel it as much. So maybe we're up here. You can even use like a wall or something if you wanted to. And see if you can send your breath all the way down the back of that leg to the sole of that foot. Good. If it feels intense for you, maybe back off. If it feels too much, definitely back off. But if you're kind of finding that nice edge, see if you can use your breath just to kind of like lean into it. Lovely. We're going to transform this into a stretch down the side of the leg. So using your blocks, you might not need them, but probably most of us do. We're going to walk over, keep the legs exactly where they are, walk them over to the right, and then folding over here. So you're going to feel that stretch transfer down the outside of the leg now. You might need to have an explore of like how far you need to go over to the right. It might only be a little bit. So the blocks just give you some support to do that. Good. Keep those toes lifted and breathe into that sensation. You're doing really well. Lovely. Take a nice big breath in. Long sigh out. And then walking the blocks back through center. Pop them to one side. Bring your hands down. Bend into that front knee and then come back to an all fours position. Good. Spread your fingers wide, tuck toes. Find a downward facing dog. You might feel a little bit lopsided as we've just done that right side. But just have a little pedal through the feet. Kind of assess the situation in the back of the leg. So that right leg might feel a little more open than the left, but we are going to balance it up. Don't worry. Good. And then dropping the knees down, coming back to all fours. Great. Let's do that calf stretch on the left. So extend the left leg back, pushing through that heel. Keep the leg really straight. So firm up the thigh and you feel like you just get that little bit more. Maybe come into the forearms if you really want to like push back and like look after those wrists. Lovely. Good. And then from here, picking up that left foot, stepping it in between the legs. Like so, hands up onto the thigh, find a little tuck of the tailbone so you feel that stretch here, and then maybe sinking the hips forwards, finding a little more intensity and a little bit of a back bend. But if that back bend doesn't feel enjoyable, totally come up, it's all good. Relax through the shoulders and that upper body. Lovely. Good. Pressing down through the base of that front big toe to find some stability. Nice. Take a nice big breath in. Exhale. Hands come down. Frame that front foot and then straighten up the front leg. Grabbing your props if you need. This leg is super straight. Toes are engaged. And really like flex your foot up towards the sky. Imagine your spine getting longer, so imagine your tailbone lengthening back as the crown of the head reaching away from that tailbone. And as you do that, you might find a deeper stretch down the back of that left leg. Good, but go to a nice intensity. We don't want anything too strenuous or anything that's going to stress you out. This is the time to rest. Great. From here, let's turn it into that IT band stretch. So walking the blocks over to the left, keep the leg where it is, and then begin to fold here. So you might need to have a little bit of a play. You might be just here. You might be all the way over to the left. Just have a little bit of an explore so you feel that stretch down the outer left leg. Keep these toes active as well. Notice if they want to get lazy, see if you can keep them lifted. You're doing really well. Take a nice big breath in. Long sigh out. Good. Slowly walking yourself back through center. Let's lose the blocks. Bend into that front knee. Plant the hands. Come back to all fours. And then into a downward facing dog. Sending those sitting bones back and up. Good. See if you can really lift the sitting bones up and start to press down through the heels now. So you feel that lovely stretch down the back of the leg. Nice straight spine. See if you can find a little twerk of the tailbone up towards the sky. Good. From here, dropping the knees down, coming back to all fours. And then you're going to step your right foot on the outside of your right hand, like so. Lovely. From here, see if you can sink your hips down. So we're getting deeper into those hips now. Now, maybe some of us stay here. Maybe some of us are all the way up here even. Or some of us can maybe use our blocks or our props to rest our forearms onto. You might want to come a bit lower. You might come all the way lower so your forearms are on the floor. But if you can't reach the floor, like bring the floor to you, that's exactly what the props are for. Sinking your left hip down and just see what happens to the right hip. Now maybe your right toes want to turn out to the right and that hip begins to open. If that feels good, awesome, go with it. But you want this pose to feel really releasing after the effort from your ride or your run. So remember, this is rest time. It's like active recovery time. Lovely. Take a nice big breath. Nice big sigh. Good. And then walking the hands back towards you. And then we're going to come into a quad stretch. You're going to bend into your back knee. You're going to reach for your foot with your right hand. Now, if this isn't too much of a stretch, you can always bring your left hand a bit higher, maybe onto a coffee table or something. Just gives you an easier reach. Or you could use a strap. So you could grab a strap, lasso it around this foot, and then use the strap to pull the foot in. So you decide. And just make sure you're on the, more on your thigh than your knee. So maybe you're like feeling like you're right on your kneecap like this. This is not going to be very comfortable. Your knee's not going to be very happy. You could always pad up with a blanket or something underneath that knee. But see if you can shift the hips forwards. So you're more on like the meaty part of your thigh rather than the bony part of your kneecap, if that makes sense. Lovely. See if you can rotate that chest open. Also getting a bit of a shoulder opener. So yeah, if you've been hunched over a bike. And if you want more intensity, pulling the heel in towards the glute. You're doing so well. Take a nice big breath in. Exhale, release the foot. Don't just let it ping to the floor. Let it fall mindfully. Very nice. And then we're going to go for ninja squat on the back foot. So lifting the back knee, you're going to walk your hands over to the inside of the back foot, straighten your front leg, coming into that ninja squat. Good. Hands can stay on the floor or hands to heart center. Or maybe we just have a little bit of an explore here. Maybe it's a little forwards and back, side to side. You might just find a little area of interest that works for you today. Just have a little bit of an explore, really. Lovely. Good. And then we're going to walk our hands back to the inside of that right foot, like so. Dropping the back knee down, come back to all fours. Good. Give it a little shake out. And let's do the opposite side. So stepping your left foot on the outside of your left hand, sinking the hips forwards. Now decide where you want to be on this side. You might want to be on a couple of blocks. Maybe you can get one forearm down, Maybe you can get both down. And getting the forearms to the floor isn't really the goal. It's not like you're not going to get a prize for doing it. You just want to find a stretch that works for you. So if you have that in mind, that like all stretches, all postures are valid, then you can let go of the idea of like the perfect pose or anything like that. So maybe your left big toe drops to the side and that knee kind of opens to the side. You might find your right foot really relax and kind of go out to the right a bit more, maybe. This is why it's so nice doing like a guided video of stretches rather than doing it in front of the TV or like when you're updating your Strava, because it really encourages you to like listen to your body and give it what it needs rather than just doing stuff out of habit or routine. Like we're really kind of getting to know our body and finding that inner wisdom, which is awesome. Lovely. Well done. Cool. From here, we're going to transform this into a quad stretch. So bending into the back knee. You're going to reach with your left hand this time. So maybe you can grab for the foot. So grab a strap if you want to grab your foot that way. Remember, you can always be higher with the right hand. That's an option. All of the options, and just make sure your knees are happy. So if you want to grab a blanket to prop it up, or just shift your hips forward so you're like, on the fleshy part of your thigh. Rotating your chest open to the ceiling. Breathing into the front of the left shoulder, like left pec muscle area. And down towards that quad, particularly if they're feeling tired. See if you can send your breath and send your love to that space in the body. Lovely. Nice big breath. Exhale. Good. When you're ready, slowly releasing that foot, bringing the hands down, tuck the back toe, lift that back knee, and then slowly walk your hands over towards your back leg, bend into it as you straighten the front leg, coming into your ninja squat. So a nice slow transition, really nice for opening up the hips and the lower back. Now have a bit of a play, same thing here, maybe it's a little shift forwards and back, side to side. You might want to use your hands, you might not. Just see if you can kind of feel into it. Lovely. Very nice. And then slowly you're going to bring your hands down if they aren't there already. Walk your hands back to the inside of that front foot. Drop the back knee and then step your left foot back. Good. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Let's find downward facing dog. So sitting bones back and up into that downward facing dog. Have a little pedal through any little movements that feel good here. Might be starting to feel a little looser. Awesome. Good. And let's just rinse it out with a little vinyasa here. So inhale to a plank. Exhale to lower down. Use the knees. Lower. Inhale to lift the chest. Open up that front side. Exhale. Lower down. Come back to a downward facing dog. Wonderful. Turn your big toes out in your downward facing dog and bring your feet a bit wider. Bend into the knees, and then you're going to slowly crawl your hands back into a yogi squat. So dropping the sit bones down. You might feel like that this is a little bit easier than the first couple that we took. So hands can stay on the floor or hands together at heart center. Absolutely your choice. Wonderful. Let's bring our hands behind, and then we're going to come onto our back from here. So come on down. You might want to shimmy forward so you've got enough mat. Make sure you have your blocks to hand or a pillow to hand. You're going to come on down here. Good. Reclined pigeon. So right ankle over the left knee. Maybe you're happy here, just encouraging that knee forwards, or you can grab the back of your left thigh or your left shin. So upper body is totally relaxed. Notice how my head and shoulders didn't move at all there. So allow yourself to do the same. So maybe you grab lower down. You could even grab a block to pop that left foot on, or 2 blocks to do the stretch for you, rather than having to pull yourself. So totally up to you. And we're getting into that outer right hip, right glute area. You can slightly encourage that right knee forwards by bringing your right elbow onto that inner thigh and just slightly encouraging it forwards if that feels like something that would be good for you. Nice. Big breath. Exhale. Keep your legs as they are, but release them down. Move your blocks if you're using them on that foot. Take your arms out into a cactus shape. Breathe in. Exhale. Allow the legs to fall over to the left. So your right sole of foot lands onto the floor. So you're getting a twist through the spine and a little stretch through the outer right hip. Allow yourself to soften. Remember, this is complementing your ride or your run training, which is very yang based. It's very active. This is like the opposite of that. So a little more passive, cooler, calming. And to have a balanced life, really, we need to do both. Sometimes we need more of one than the other, but always in balance. Good. When you're ready, legs through center. Let's bring that right foot down. Left ankle crosses over. Maybe you're here, here, here. Maybe those props came in use. And you can always prop yourself up like that. Even if you've got like a wall or something, you could push this foot onto a wall or your sofa. You decide. And have that idea that your left knee is now falling forward, so you get a little more intensity maybe. And just to encourage your head and shoulders on the mat, maybe you just move your head side to side. Make sure it's nice and relaxed. And think about your tailbone reaching for the front edge of your mat. So rather than it curling and reaching up to the sky, reaching forward so we've got a nice long spine. Lovely. Nice big breath in. Long sigh. Good. And then keeping the legs as they are, landing your right foot down, arms out in a cactus shape, and then allowing the legs to fall over to the right this time. So your left sole of foot lands down. Soften your tummy. Maybe even close your eyes if you want. Good. As you inhale, slowly bring the legs back through center, uncross them, give yourself a little squeeze. We're going to take one final posture. You can do it with or without a prop. You're going to prop up your hips, so decide if you would like to do that. Otherwise, you can just lift your legs like this. You can even pop your hands under if you want, if you prefer. But maybe it's just nice to have a little bit more elevation through the hips, raising the legs up. So keep your knees a little soft, so it's not like proper, like rigid. Knees are soft. And just take a little roll out of your ankles. Arms can be wherever you like, maybe overhead or out to the side. This is a nice one to do up against the wall. It really helps out your circulation. So particularly with cycling and running, blood can pool at the feet. So it's nice to just get that blood back to the heart. Really good for your circulation. Good. And then find a few moments of stillness. Close your eyes. Just allow your legs to dangle in space. If you are very much enjoying this, totally Stay here. Don't let me, don't let me rush you. Stay exactly where you are. Let this video end and chill. Otherwise, if you're ready to finish your practice, bringing the feet down, knees to heart. Give yourself a little hug. And then gently, slowly coming up to find a comfortable seat, sitting nice and tall. Let's close the eyes just for a few moments. Take a breath in to sit tall. And sigh it out through the mouth. Finding that sense of ease. And notice how you feel now. After spending this time today honoring your body and its needs. Bring your hands together at your heart. Bow the head down and really thank yourself for carving out the time to look after not just your body, but your mind as well. Blinking the eyes open. Thank you so much for sharing this practice with me. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you found any of the poses particularly relieving or they felt really good for you, definitely write them down, just make a little note of them so you can do them for longer maybe. And if you know anyone that could benefit from a practice like this, please go ahead and share. Make sure you're subscribed. Oh, and check out my Yoga for Sport playlist. So if you're a sporty active person, that playlist is specifically designed for you. Otherwise, have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are in the world, and I shall see you on the next one. Bye.